This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Hi, and welcome back to Pokemon Ecology. This episode we'll be talking about absurd Pokedex entries, a lot of which were retconned later. I would have done an April Fool's video, but the last time I did that, I killed the channel for a few months. If you're one of the 42 people that saw it, shout out to you for sticking around for so long. This video was going to be a Goodra video, but as a later generation pseudo-legendary blob, there's very little to talk about. We'll start with it though, as that was the original subject. Goodra's line in Hisui picks up metals in the water and develops the shell as the slime incorporates the oxygen. This causes lethargy as they breathe through their skin, depriving them of a lot of oxygen. As Goodras are able to control the corrosiveness of their slime, they're then able to control the hardness of their shells. Perhaps there's some strange creature able to control the hardness of an external slime, but this is absurd. But it is really cool. Additionally, Goodra's slime possesses these horns on their body that operate as all of their senses. Sliggoo is even stated to have useless eyes, though it's unclear if this applies to Goodra. These horns are also capable of punching with roughly 120,000 psi. This is stronger than water cutter jets for reference. I can't speak on this because physics aren't my area of expertise, but that power sounds ridiculous. Coming up next is Grimer, whose creation is caused by X-rays reflected from the moon. Rays are in fact reflected from the moon back to the planet in real life through light, but stuff like this doesn't cause spontaneous generation and trash. They didn't even retcon this in Sun and Moon's entries. How sad. What's strange is that this isn't the only account of something like this. Umbreon evolves from Eevee when exposed to the moon's rays as well, so maybe Lunala is shooting tiny little moongeist beams and causing evolution. Moving on to Ponyta, this Pokemon is capable of jumping over the Eiffel Tower, and its hooves are 10 times stronger than diamonds. Both of these were softly restated, with the hooves now being harder than diamonds, and Ponyta being able to clear Tokyo Tower and Uluru in one jump. Not at the same time, presumably. Fun fact, episode 2 of Pokemon Ecology was slated to be Tyranitar's line. Did you know that Larvitar eats dirt? A lot of it, as in a large mountain's worth of dirt? Absurd for obvious reasons. The Pokemon world needs to be incomprehensibly large for such land-altering Pokemon to be able to exist in reasonable reproductive numbers. Maybe that's why towns are so small. Pokemon are so destructive that building up towns is often pointless. Real quick interjection here to talk about Psychic-type Pokemon and explain why they're not on this list, other than this. Most of their absurdity isn't relevant to anatomy or biology, so it felt improper to include them. Since I want to be nice to my editor, this mostly in order rapid-fire section will feature me flying by a black hole in Elite Dangerous. Wizard children can turn into Kadabra. Alakazam has an IQ 25 times higher than the IQ test counts. Hypno kidnaps people. Mew and Xatu are explicitly from South America. The Drowsy and Moona lines eat dreams for sustenance. Gothorita also kidnaps people. Gothitelle can predict the end of the universe. Algium and Beheeyem are alien jokes, or possibly literal aliens. Esper is a psychic bomb. Meowstic can crush trucks. Hatterim violently silences people who experience strong emotions. Espathra is the third fastest animal, and is almost twice as fast as the cheetah, the fastest land animal. Mr. Mime creates real illusions, and so does Musharna. Swoobat can destroy concrete with sound. And finally, the explanation for why there's a black hole. Gardevoir can create black holes. Back to normal Pokemon here. Ryhorn is a very fascinating Pokemon, but it seems to have a similar issue to Goodra. It can shatter skyscrapers. I don't know if you know, but after a certain event, skyscraper technology has evolved to the point of plane proofing as a possibility, considering this entry is originally from before that event, but was reused afterwards. I don't think Ryhorn would be able to do this anymore. Recalling from my Arcanine video, this Pokemon is capable of running around the world in 4 days at 258 miles per hour. Sure, we have planes capable of this, but this is a dog running at ridiculous speeds. It almost beats out the fastest real-life animal, the peregrine falcon, who reaches these speeds dive-bombing prey. Larvesta is capable of melting almost every element we know. Interestingly, Paldea actually references this, stating their horns are able to cut through an iron sheet, and presumably like a lightsaber. Clarify, these temperature numbers are ridiculous for their implications regarding heating things up, but keep in mind that these Pokemon also need to eat enough food to fuel such absurd temperatures. Larvesta must be deforesting countries to fuel these flames. Swampert can drag a boulder weighing a ton easily. This one isn't actually too absurd. Gorillas are capable of pushing over 2 tons of weight. Swampert, however, is dragging a boulder through water. Someone with advanced knowledge of fluid physics will need to speak on this in the comments. Regardless, it also tugs large ships. Depending on how large, this could be reasonable. The old canal system in America had donkeys tugging ships down canals. Put a gorilla or two in the bridle, and you could get a pretty big ship moving, I would wager. Catherine's blood transformed into the same substance as sand. This actually makes no sense. Sand isn't one uniform substance, it's a measurement of soil particle size, while blood is a fluid composed of blood cells meant to carry nutrients and waste. Presumably sand-like blood is well outside the realm of reasonable, but it is theoretically possible, if ridiculously inefficient. Fitting for a desert creature, I suppose. Actually, that's pretty neat. That would have a lot less water requirements for their blood. Maybe that's not a bad entry. Primape gets furious enough to die. Pre-Generation 9, I'd find this 100% ridiculous. I still do, but at least it seems to be in order to complete a life stage. It's also not the only Pokemon to do this, possibly. Dragapult launched Dreepies at their target at Mach speeds, as in speed of sound minimum, and the Dreepies seem excited for this, but I swear I recall reading at some point that this intentionally kills the Dreepy as part of the life stage. However, when researching for this video, I found out that their real-life inspiration is also a sort of lore inspiration. They're based on the Diplocaulus, an ancient salamander, making them a sort of replacement fossil Pokemon for the 8th generation. I bring this up to say that, though their whole existence as a ghost is unrealistic, their expelling of children from not a womb has some precedent in amphibians, with the Suriname toad giving birth through its back. Going back to Primape, an animal actually dying from anger is beyond silly. However, in a world of ghosts, an animal dying as part of a life stage is silly and fascinating. And finally, we have Magcargo, whom I at one point intended to be a running joke on this channel. Magcargo's body temperature reaches 18,000 degrees Fahrenheit, or 10,000 degrees Celsius. The surface of the sun is around 10,000 Fahrenheit, or 5,500 Celsius. Magcargo actually incinerates everything remotely close to it. This Pokemon will make geothermal energy the greatest, cleanest, most efficient energy source if we could possibly find a super material capable of easily withstanding such a heat. And that was a bunch of weird Pokedex entries. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Shout out to Malon Sale, who had a Squirtle that was actually super effective against grass types, and Nile, whose Pidgey's sand attacks were actually battle commands. Sand, attack! And Superbird, an honorary this tier patron because I actually cannot change the pricing even though I want to, and they paid the pricing I would change it to. Go ahead and vote on the next episode in this poll here, and also keep an eye out for the upcoming amphibian stream. Thank you all, and have a great day.